Hey everyone, welcome to API Hacks. Today I am Pranav and we have Arsh Goyal with us, and we are going to talk about jobs and internships. So Arsh is an SD at Samsung, and he also runs his YouTube channel where he talks about job placements and opportunities. Over to you, Arsh.
Thank you so much, Pranav. Thank you so much, the entire organizing team of API Hacks for having me here. Hi, everyone. I'm super excited to be here. Today, we'll be talking about internships, placements 101. We'll talk about each and everything, things that are required for a good placement, things that you need to have. What are some of the things talking about data structures, algorithms, talking about projects, what type of questions can be asked from projects. So, each and everything we are going to cover up in this today's session. And I hope it's going to be pretty interesting, and I want it to be a little more interactive so that all your doubts and queries related to anything can be resolved. So thank you so much, Pranav, once again. So I'll be presenting this small deck. I'll try to cover it as soon as possible, and after that we can have your doubts and queries if you have any, right? So I hope this seems good. Next, let me give a brief intro about me. Currently, I'm working as senior software engineer at Samsung R&D Bangalore. Also, I had SD offers from companies like Lowe's group of companies and American Express. I did SD internships at companies like Samsung R&D Bangalore, Indian Space Research Organization (ISRO). Also, I did one internship with BitGrid. It's a startup from Japan. It was basically in data analytics and data science. I also have done one internship at CodeChef. CodeChef is a coding platform. Along with that, I recently passed out from NIT Jalandhar, where I was the gold medalist, and I run my own YouTube channel by the name of Arsh Goyal, where I share content related to interview preparation and tech in general. Along with that, I post content on LinkedIn. So yeah, this is a brief about me. Have been mentoring students from the past 1 year, and the journey has been quite amazing. This is a screenshot of my YouTube channel where I put content related to interview prep and tech. So talking about why this session, what are we going to discuss, how we are going to discuss, when, like it's basically what, how, when and why of placement. So we'll be talking about each and everything starting from the very scratch, things that are required for placements to getting an off-campus placement, each and everything, all the boards, everything we are going to discuss, and your questions are more than welcome. So agenda for the day is going to be basically we'll talk about a roadmap, then we'll talk about what kind of projects that you have to be like that should be there in your resume, like which all technologies you can work with, which is the most suited technology. Like these are the questions that I generally come up with from students. But yeah, we are going to discuss about each and everything. We'll talk about the hiring processes of different companies. We'll talk about off-campus placements. We'll talk about interview skills, and at the end we can have your Q&As. So before starting today with today's presentation, let me just go through these three words, right? Like if you're starting up with anything, the end thing that you need to, that will keep you going, is basically you should know why you started. Everything has a purpose to start, why we are studying, why you are coding, why you are programming. So everything has a purpose. So as Amitabh Bachchan said, that it's parampara, pratishtha, anushasan. So similarly, if we are into this programming, if we are working hard, if we are looking out for good opportunities, if we are looking out for improving ourselves daily, if we are looking forward to upskilling ourselves, so these three things are, I would say, parampara, pratishtha, anushasan of programming. That is your consistency, your hard work and practice. So these three things, if taken together, can help you achieve what you're looking forward to. There might be different obstacles, there might be a lot of things that can hinder your path, but still, if these three things are with you, you will be able to reach wherever you are looking forward to. So with that, let's start with the session. Let me just give you a brief of what is required. Like I'm talking about tech placements, tech internships, tech full-time roles, majorly in software development. So when I say software development, so these are the things that are majorly required. If you're somebody who is in first year or somebody who's in second year, so definitely you might be new to it. If you're in your third year or if you're in your final year, setting for internship, setting for placements, so you might be aware of these. So you need one programming language, preferably OOPS, that is object-oriented programming language. Why I'm saying OOPS? Because there's a lot of content available. Like I generally suggest to start up with C++ or Java. Like there are people who are doing Python, there are people who are doing different other languages, but that's your choice. It's not like this particular language is going to give you edge over something or not. This is not the thing. Like once you're done with any language, you can learn second language within 5 to 10 days. That hardly matters. But currently the content, if you see, you have a lot of content available for C++ and Java. That's why it is more preferable as compared to other languages. Like if you are doing anything and if you're stuck in between, so definitely you will get a solution, maybe as a form of video solution or a document or a blog related to that in CPP and Java. So that's why they are most preferable. Next is your data structure algorithm. Like like the entire process of getting into a product-based company, I would say 70% is majorly your data structure algorithms in the form of online tests or in the interview round. So this is something that is the most important. Next is your core CS subjects. Core CS subjects like object-oriented programming skills, like computer networks, like DBMS. We'll talk about this also. We'll talk about your projects. We'll talk about whether competitive programming is necessary or open source, how they can play a role in getting your placement. So this is something that we are going to discuss today, what programming language to learn. So I've already discussed you have to pick any one programming language. It can be something that you're comfortable with. Like generally C is the course that is being taught to you in the very first year, right? And after that, shifting from C to CPP or C to any other language is it's something that can help you understand that particular language. Generally, C++ is also introduced as a course in your curriculum. So once you're done with C++ or C, then you have to move on with practicing that particular language. It's not that you should learn Python also, you should learn Java also. There's no use learning different languages. Just focus on one language and make sure that you are comfortable enough to code in that particular language. Because writing code, knowing the logic and writing code, like these two things are very important. Like at some point of time you might be able to frame up the logic, but still you are not able to code because your fundamentals are not clear. So make sure your fundamentals are clear and you are doing good with that, right? Next is path to DSL goals. Like when I say path to DSL goals, so there are a lot of things that are there in DSL goals, starting from real world analogies, like need for optimization. Why we are using DSL goals? Like any question, almost like every question can be solved, not every, but in general, if I say, so most of the questions can be solved by using general mathematics or using a brute force approach. But why we are using these DSL goals? The major thing behind using these DSL goals is to have time and space complexity. Like time and space is something that we are looking forward to limit, because everybody is looking forward to, like you might have heard of Moore's law if you have studied something in your subject. So there's something known as Moore's law. So Moore's law is that with the passage of time, the size of the chip reduces exponentially, right? So in the similar way, what we are looking forward to is we are looking forward to do whatsoever we are doing in the least possible time and in the least possible space that it takes. So that basically configures the concept of optimization, why optimization is necessary, and how DSLGOs can help us achieve that optimization is why we study DSLGOs, right? So starting with them, like you have to implement basic DSLGO operations like stacks with arrays, like linked lists, like basics of all the data structures, I would say, starting from linked list, stacks, queues, trees. So you should be able to understand the three things, like insertion in all these, deletion in all these, searching in all these. So these are the basic operations, and once you are done with that, so they will give you a comfortable edge over others. Like if you are comfortable in performing these operations on these data structures, that can definitely give you a better understanding on how these particular data structures work. Then there are dictionary operations, traversals of each DS I've already told, moving upon to standard algorithms of searching, sorting, selection. So these are the fundamental. These will lay your basics on how good you are at programming, how good you are at solving different problems, right? Once you're done with basic data structures, like every data structure starting from linked list, stacks, queues, trees, hashing, heaps, graphs, so all these, once you're done with the fundamentals, then there are algorithm design techniques. Like these techniques, maybe you might have come across when you're solving questions like two-pointer approach. Something is known as binary search, sliding window, dynamic programming, greedy approach, bit masking, backtracking, number theory, range queries, traversal based questions. So these are certain algorithm design techniques. Once you're comfortable enough with those data structures, then you will have to apply these algorithm design techniques in those data structures that can help you achieve what you like. Most of the questions will be solved using any of these algorithms or algorithm design techniques. Once you're done with all this, then it's up to you which platform you pick up. It can be any, but I would prefer like if you are just looking forward to good placements or internships, then platforms like LeetCode and GFG can be helpful to you. If you enjoy doing competitive programming, platforms like CodeChef and CodeForces are there for you. So it's purely your choice, but I would say don't just move around on different platforms solving one question here, one question there. Just stick to one, and probably that is going to help you, right? Apart from that, not just I would say it's not just one thing that you should keep in mind, but like once you are done with one particular platform, right, like there are different people are giving different types of sheets on which a variety of questions are there. So make sure you cover the variety, not just one type of questions. I would say like solving 20, 25, 30 questions of each topic for once, like once you're beginning, and then moving on gradually with different topics. And once you cover around 150 to 200 questions, then you have a fair idea on what type of questions are there, and you can think upon like if any random new question comes up. So definitely there will be some approach that would come to your mind, okay, I can solve it using this, or I can solve it. So that is the time when you should start practicing random questions from sites like GFG, LeetCode. So they will give you motivation ki haan, if there are 5 questions there in front of me, I am able to solve 3 out of 5. There are 5 questions, with after some more practice I am able to solve 4 questions out of 5. So that is something that is going to eventually boost your confidence in solving more questions or solving more ESL questions. Once you're done with this, so like these are the subjects that are important. Like in your computer science degree, there are a lot of subjects that you have to study, right? There's web designing, there's cryptography, there is theory of computation, there is like a lot of subjects that you study in your computer science fundamental. But these are some of the subjects that are more focused in interviews, and I would say like when you're studying these subjects during your course, so definitely give more stress to these subjects such that both things are done at the same time, your placement preparation also and your course curriculum also. Like you might get good grades in these subjects also once you have done these sincerely, because even at the end you will have to do these subjects again. So why not do them when it is being taught in the college? Even if your professor is not teaching it in that way, you can look forward to different resources for these subjects, because they will eventually come to your placements or they'll be asked during your placements or internships. So these subjects like object-oriented programming skills, you might be asked about properties, inheritance, polymorphism, like all these 5 principles of OOPS, abstraction. So you should be aware of design patterns, principles, UML diagrams. Then comes operating systems, that is OS, that includes process and thread management, scheduling, synchronization, deadlocks, memory management. These are some of the topics, but a lot more topics. Like you might be even asked how an operator, like what happens when we press the on button on a laptop, like what is the thing, how it starts, like what program runs behind that. So it can be anything. So make sure that you are aware of these subjects, like basics of computer science, I would say. What is kernel, what is thread, what is so all these kind of things you should be aware of along with these concepts. Next, I would say it's DBMS. You are aware of the basics of DBMS, ACID-based properties, normalization, transaction and concurrency controls, and along with that SQL queries. For SQL queries also you can prefer LeetCode or interview bit. There are a lot more questions to practice. You won't be asked very tough questions on SQL, but basic queries you should be able to solve for most of the interview processes. That would be super fine. Computer networks, like it is not very important, but some companies do ask computer networks. If I say companies like Cisco or companies like Samsung, they definitely have this thing in mind. Like you might expect questions around computer networks from these companies, because Cisco's entire process, I would say 40 to 50% is based upon computer networks. Their online test is also based upon computer networks, and in interview rounds also computer networks are stressed, right? So make sure these computer science fundamentals are also covered. Next, coming upon to your project. So what type of questions you can expect out of projects? Maybe like you have 1 or 2 good projects in your resume and you have written them, you have written those projects in your resume, right? So the thing that matters while explaining a project is like there are different types of questions that can be asked from those projects. When I say different types of questions, so simply an interviewer can say that just explain me this first project in detail. When he says to explain a project in detail, so there's a modular approach I would say that you should follow while explaining a project. Like the first and the most important thing is it should be explained in such a way that a layman can understand. The first thing is you should explain the objective of your project, why you are doing that project. Like, is there any benefit? Like, is the project helping your society? Is the project helping you? Is the project like what is the general objective? Why you started up with this project? So there should be some particular objective. Make sure you start with this. Next, move up onto the tech stack that you have used. So for example, it's a front-end project, so if you've done it using React, so mention specifically that it's a front-end project in React, or if it's something related to back-end, so you should definitely mention the tech stack that you have used. Third thing that I would say is like do mention that if it's a group project or if it was an individual project. Let's say if it is a group project, make sure that you try to mention what was your particular role. Like I worked upon front-end and I did this and this. So make sure that thing is clear to the interviewer and he can just ask you questions related to your particular thing. The fourth thing is scalability. Scalability of a project. What I mean to say by this is how good you are at, like what are your future plans, how do you aim to scale your project in future, what are the current consequences and how you are planning to cover those consequences and come up with something more better or a refined version of your current project. So make sure all these things you should discuss while explaining your project. So this is I would say the general methodology that you should follow while explaining your project. Next is talk about the problem that is solved by the project. These are the type of questions that can be asked, right? Implementation of one particular functionality. What I mean to say is, for example, in your project, it's a design architecture where you are using a load balancer, right? So you should be able to know how a load balancer works. What's the code of a load balancer? You might be grilled upon that code also. Like you write the code of load balancer and do some changes or do some modulation so that it is a little bit changed and how that impacts your entire project. So make sure you are aware of that. What problems you have faced while making the project, it's general, how you have tackled it, like were there some team conflicts, were like any problems during brainstorming sessions. So all these problems can be like how you finally came up with the idea and how the collaboration between your team worked. So each and everything can be asked. Next is how you can improve this project further, which libraries help you implement a particular feature, which database, like, and also you should be aware of which if you are using one particular technology, why you are using that same. For example, you are using Node.js or you are using Django. So why you have preferred Node.js over Django, or why this particular technology, not that. So make sure you are aware of why you are using particular technical framework with respect to that particular project. Next is databases. So you should be aware of, like mostly I've seen these type of questions are asked in your projects. Like for example, you are using SQL or you are using Firebase. Why you are using Firebase? Why not some other database? Why not MongoDB? Why not SQL? So like you can expect questions around these while you're discussing your projects in general, right? Next, coming upon to the hiring process of different companies, like this is round one. Like if you are already in your third year or final year, so you might be aware of this. But if you are in your first year or second year, you might be willing to know what actual process looks like. So it is basically 2 to 3 coding questions that you might have. It can be on any platforms like HackerRank, HackerEarth, or it depends upon from company to company. There might be some MCQs, like different companies have different patterns. For some, they have MCQs based upon aptitude, your computer science fundamentals, DS algos, computer networks, OOPS and everything. Along with that, 2 to 3 coding questions on their platform. So this is the general pattern for an online test that they follow. Then there are interview rounds, and for those interview rounds also like I would say 60 to 70% for major. If you're aiming at product based companies, it is DS algos, and rest things are your computer science fundamentals like DBMS, OOPS, OS, and your project discussion. So that makes the final interviews open. Talking about resources from where you can practice coding practice, like if you're particularly looking for placements or internships, then GFG, LeetCode, and InterviewBit are more specific to placements. And when I say interview it, so it's basically help you. It will basically help you for company specific preparation. Like if you are looking forward to give time based contest, that so that you are able to solve, like you are able to go through that online assessment. So you should start giving contests on lead code, like lead code weekly or bi-weekly. So they have their contest. So like within a span of 1.5 hours, are you able to solve 3 questions, or are you able to solve two, like depends upon from the type of contest to contest. So make sure you are well versed with your coding practice. Next, talking about MCQs, so there are different platforms on which you can practice MCQs, like IndiaBix or GFG. When I say GFG, so there are some questions from previous year gate, so those type of questions can be practiced as a part of, like similar kind of questions do come in your online assessments of different companies, so make sure that is done well. But I have done everything, like I have prepared for my dream company, but company doesn't visit my college. What to do even after preparing? So this question comes up very I would say frequently. So here comes the thing for off-campus placement. When I say off-campus placements, so what all things are necessary for getting an off-campus placement, how you can approach a company for an off-campus placement. So there are different modes, different methods. The first and the most important thing is the careers website of that company. Most underrated method of getting an opportunity, but yeah, this is something really very useful in some cases. You might have visited careers.google.com or careers.microsoft.com. So these different careers website often help you understand, like they have the openings for all the roles, like for student roles, for internships, for placements, for full time, even for senior roles. So you can go to these websites, you can check out which all things you are eligible for. From there you can pick up the job ID, go to any of your college alumni or somebody who is working at that company on LinkedIn, and you can pitch in for a referral. So while pitching in for referral, there are a lot of things you should make sure that it's not just you should start your conversation with hi or a hello. It's just a single message that will help you convey what you actually want to convey to that person. Simply, it's not any hard and fast. You can just mention about hi, this is so and so. I'm currently good at I'm good at these technical skills. I'm good at data structures. I'm good at algorithms. I have worked on different technologies like web or ML or so and so. And if you have any good star ratings on different platforms, you can mention about that. If you have participated in some hackathons, or if you have won some hackathons, that can be mentioned. If you have done some internships at that some companies, that can be mentioned. Along with that, you can attach your resume, and you can write down that you're looking forward to work at the company, and this is a particular job ID, if you can be referred for that particular job ID. So this is a message that you should send rather than just sending a hi or a hello, because this is going to delay your project, delay your reply and the further prospects, right? Once you send a hi, the person sends a hello after 5 hours. Next, you send a reply back after maybe 5 hours more. So the thing goes to the next day. So that is, and by the time sometimes opening is also closed. So make sure don't do this, and just follow a very concise and precise way of getting in employer referrals. Be active on social medias like LinkedIn. Try following relevant people so that you can get to know about different opportunities, and you can connect with like-minded people who are looking for same things as you are. Also, there are some internal hirings sometimes going on in a particular team in that company. So make sure you are connected with at least 2 to 3 employees of some of the companies that you're looking forward to get into, so that whenever there are some internal hirings, so you can get an update about that. So this was all about off-campus placement, but the last thing that I wanted to mention is to have faith in you, understand why you started up, like, and everything will be on track once. Like, it might take time for some, but yeah, everything is going to be at par at some point of time. So that was all for me. I guess I'm done with my deck. So if you people have any questions, I think I have covered a lot of questions throughout the session only, but still, if you have any questions, we can take it here, or you can connect with me on my social medias. I would be more than happy to answer.
Yeah.
Thank you so
It was
much.
actually great. You covered a lot of things, and I think a lot of our viewers would have got a better idea. Like, a lot of the freshmen also get confused whenever they like enter in college, like what to do. Me coming from like a third year university itself, I was in a lot of confusion in the first as well. But like, I got help from my seniors as well, and the thing is, creating a good personal brand as well is very important, right? like you mentioned also, the whole BS algorithm and creating your proper logic is very important, as well as I think creating good social network, which you covered, was very nice, because until unless people know about you, they won't be in contact,
Definitely,
right?
I would say like building your personal brand can help you get a lot of opportunities. If you maintain your LinkedIn profile well, I would say you can get a lot of recruiters reaching out to you directly. Even I, like, although I'm not eligible for SD2, but people reach out for SD2 roles also. Like you might see recruiters from different companies. I'll not name any company, but you will see you will be getting messages from recruiters in your inbox once you have a good LinkedIn profile, or once you have built a good personal brand.
Yeah, I myself keep my how should I say? I keep saying that keep making and keep sharing, because
Yeah,
until unless you share, you can't get the recognition that you deserve. So that's it,
definitely,
right?
definitely.
Yeah. Working in open source and creating things is very important, and sharing with people is very important. If
Definitely.
I would ask you a question, I would ask, how important is a resume? Like, how should a person design or write his own resume if he's applying for a job or
So
an internship?
there can be a lot of things when I say resume, but like for example, you're looking forward to off-campus placement. So there can be different prospects of how your resume looks. So there is like different sections of a resume. If you people know that includes your skill section, your education section, your achievement section, your experience, your project. So these are the major 5 sections that you should have in your resume. And format you can follow any. Like it's not just like there are different templates available like overleaf or DD resume or Nova resume. So different people prefer different templates, but try making sure that it looks good. Looks good. I don't by looking good. I don't mean to say that it should be colorful. It should be having a your picture. No, it should be clean. It should be precise. It should have some keywords. When I say keywords, and it's not just you should just have one resume. You can have multiple resumes, like 3 to 4 resumes with the twist in each of them. Like for example, if a particular job role is looking forward to a Java developer, so one of your resume should have that particular skill rather than some other resume in which you have mentioned your general prospects, right? So make sure you have 2 3 different copies of your resume specific to some domain, some skills. Like if somebody is looking forward to program management or a product management role, so for that also you need a little different resume from an SD role, right? So make sure you have different versions of your resume. That is going to help. Along with that, like whenever you're explaining your projects, whenever you're explaining your experiences, try highlighting the tech stacks that you have used. That is also going to help. There's something known as ATS, applicant tracking system. So make sure you are aware of this term and you search about ATS on how to make your resume ATS friendly. So that will also take you forward. Like I would say I would recommend you googling this term ATS if you are not aware, if you're listening for the first time. So that can help you pass your resume through this through the online trackers.
So it's like an artificial tracker, which just looks at all the resumes and just takes out that
Yeah,
exact
it
keywords
basically
specific.
tracks the
Yeah,
keywords that are there in the job description and the keywords that are there in your resume. So that it matters.
great. I think you covered all the topics. We don't have any questions I see in the chat, but like from this video itself, they can get a very good idea
Yeah,
about
yeah,
how to get
definitely,
started.
definitely. I think most of the things are covered. It was great being here. Thank you so much.
It was a very fun PVT as well.
Yeah.
Thanks a
Thank you
lot.
so
I
much
just
once again. Thank you so much, Abhi. Thank you so much, Pranav. It was great being here. See you sometime soon. All the best to everyone for API hacks also, and
thank you.
to the entire team who is organizing this. Thank you so much. Okay.
Thank you. Bye bye. Bye bye everyone.